Hey, this is Miha. I'm here at Legion, and we have a special treat for you guys. In a few seconds, you'll be able to start watching a mini class with the theme being Smash Passing in No-Gi. This is the recording from our No-Gi Summer Bootcamp, a course that we did for our members here at Legion. So you'll be able to learn some of my favorite smash passing positions in a really comprehensive class. Let me know what you think in the comments and subscribe to the channel for more. So today we're working on smash passing, and we're going to get started with something kind of simple. We'll kind of build up on to more advanced stuff. So Sloan is going to have half guard on me. We all know half guard. We're all in half guard a bunch. If Sloan has an underhook here on me, like this, but it's not like totally what he wants. What he wants is he wants to be super on the side, super under me. Specifically when I'm rolling with Sloan, he'll also torque my leg here, and now I'm in a lot of trouble. I can start thinking about how I'm gonna try and escape mount from here. So I don't want to get to here, right? So when we have half guard, let's say that he has this underhook. What I'm going to try and do is lock my arm down and get him flatter than being on the side here. We know even from the beginner course, in bottom half guard, you want to be on your side, and the person on top wants to flatten you out. So that's the first thing that I'll be doing. And instead of getting in a long pummeling battle here for this underhook on this side, so that I can get my crossface and advance towards mount, I'm going to look for the near side underhook, which is a little bit overlooked in my opinion as a passing position. So we're here, we're fighting his kind of trying to get on his hip. I'm going to be pummeling this one in and getting a nice high underhook. From here, I'm going to start using my feet and my toes to close the distance and get higher up. And now I have him in a position where I can actually put some decent pressure, and now I'll engage this pummeling battle from a situation that I actually prefer. When I'm here, this is going to be much easier. Even if it takes a little while, I know that I have him pinned on his back. So once I do get this underhook here, I'm going to start working my hands together like so. And I'm going to be squeezing everything nice and tight, looking towards me like so. And then passing wise, whatever is available as far as removing the leg, one thing that I always like to do, especially in no-gi because we're slippery a lot, is just put my knee down here. And then he's got quarter guard, and from here I'll be squeezing my elbows tight. I want to be almost choking him, almost constricting his breathing by using my arms on his lats, kind of closing his ribcage in like so. This will make people not want to move. And then my chest is going to go under his chin here, and then if I still need help, I can use my shoelaces to get mount. Not only did I get mount, I got mount with several attacking opportunities thanks to his elbows not being close to his body. So with this mount, for example, if I pass the mount with a crossface like so, I would be wise to let go and go to here because I don't have a post on this side. I don't want to get upa'd over. However, when I land here, I have options. So one would be to try and get into an S-mount position, attack arm bars and triangles. The other one would be to decide and remove the arm on the side that I want to and go towards an arm triangle choke. So once again, we have half guard here. Person has the underhook. I'm going to close this in and put this down. You can see my arm, my hand here was almost instinctively already on the ground like this. Normally we don't want to put our hands on the ground, but in this case I can kind of block here, start using my fingers to tiptoe up, start putting some pressure down on him, pull this in and lock my hands. When I'm pummeling, I can be kind of in this direction, and then whenever I have a strong upper body pin, I start to turn in the same direction his head is pointing, getting my knee out, and then removing the rest. All right, make sure here to use like 80% of your smashing power, because you'll see when you're Duke, it's not super comfortable. So we'll also be moving through this rather quickly. So do 2-2, and yeah, try to not smash the person 100% because then they're gonna do it back to you. All right, let's go. 1, 2, 3.
I'm just gonna show a little move that you could do preemptively to stop the bottom guy from doing anything offensively from his half guard before you get into this smash pass that Miha just showed. So if he has like a pretty deep underhook, the deeper he gets with this underhook, the more in danger I am in, right? So what I'm going to do first and foremost, if I feel uncomfortable here, is I'm just going to take my hand and just C-cup his armpit right here. And this like pretty much kills any attack that he might have. And then from here, it makes it that much easier to start driving him to his back and squishing him here and getting him into the position that he just showed. Okay, so it's just something to keep in mind. You guys can drill that for a couple minutes if you want to. Just going C-cup right here. I know a lot of people think like you should just go whizzer right here, but this is actually weaker than the C-clamp. If I get this on his armpit, he can't advance at all anymore on any attacks that he has right here. I'm gonna regret saying this because I feel like Miha's gonna start using this on me more often.
I did, yeah. I started. Remember early on when we started rolling, I used this a lot, and then I kind of stopped. I need to go back to it. Yeah,
it's really annoying.
Yeah,
it's really hard to deal with as the bottom guy when they do that.
This move could have a clickbaity title like "This one move will destroy their underhook," and it would actually be true. This is a really, really good move.
It's so difficult to deal with.
Before we go back to practicing, I just want to add one more thing from the late stages. So if you're on your back, kind of like almost mount here. So once I get both of the underhooks here, I see some of you have like a little bit of space here, right? My goal is not to grab my hands together like this. If my opponent isn't like a monster of a man and doesn't have huge shoulders here, I need to get more space. Then I can start getting and crossing on my own wrists. I can go up to like here, just making sure that everything is tighter and tighter. Because the tighter I make this, the more immobilized he'll be, and then I can pretty much get to mount in whatever way I want to, because the person on bottom will be relieved when you get to mount, because the pressure will probably stop at that point, but it won't. All right, 1, 2, 3. Sorry, yeah. Correct, yeah, I'm still going like this. Yeah, yeah?
With the C-cup, are you coming into the armpit with your thumb, or are you coming around it? Around it, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're pressuring the elbows, are you looking to get their elbows at a certain place? Like sometimes I run into their elbows like kind of being low, still tight.
Yeah, it doesn't matter too much. Like normally their arms will go up, but I wouldn't focus on that. I would just focus on getting a better pin and keeping them more stuck. And you can kind of feel it in this position. You can feel the way they're breathing. Some people will like almost be moaning there. They'll be like, that's how you know that you're in a good spot, and you just keep doing what you're doing. All right, now let's go. 1, 2, 3. All right, so that's a really good way to pass when we're already close quarters. We're already kind of in half guard. But yeah, one thing you should know as well is you can use this in the gi. It works just as well, if not even better sometimes. When you have that friction locked in, they're not really going to go anywhere. This type of passing, one of the reasons why I like it is because we're not just advancing position and winning the match, but like we're really taking a lot out of our opponent. You can definitely break people, especially in competition. If it's like a little bit of an even fight and then you make it uneven by getting to here, you will feel people give up after you get them in this position. So that's just another reason why I like this type of passing. So now let's look at a practical way to get in close when we're actually pretty far away. So in this situation here, Sloan is playing sit-up guard. So I can see that he's posted over there. What I'm going to try and do is tilt his body to that side. So what I like to do here is I try to kind of prod, make sure that he doesn't get any grips on me, and then at the same time I'll be posting on his head and on his thigh here, hoping to get him smashed down to the side temporarily enough to get my body up on his thigh like this. So we get into this kind of position. And I won't even show you yet what we'll be doing from here, because I just want us to be able to conquer this position like so. What happens here is as soon as I have the inside of his thighs touch together, the inside of his knees, his hips are pretty immobilized here. So even if I just have my leg here, try to move your hips, he's not really gonna go anywhere. So when we're thinking of killing the hips, we could be thinking, you know, just like put weight on the hips, but actually putting weight on the knees and the thigh area in this situation is super, super useful as well. So let's look at it one more time. So you don't necessarily have to do the head push here. I just like to because it gets him tilted to this side more. And then I'm kind of aiming this like bottom part of my rib cage on top of his thigh like so. Sloan, especially in the previous one, he already started doing the right stuff, which was getting this frame in here. We won't mind it right now too much. Notice this hand here on this side. If we're doing gi, I would definitely be grabbing something here. But for now, all I want to do with this arm is kind of rest it and keep it hidden here. And then we'll be advancing from here. For now, like I said, I just want us to be able to find this position. Also notice one of my knees is on one side of his legs, the other one is on the other side. One more time. So let's say this time I won't even do the head. I'm basically just smashing in like so. Whenever I'm rolling with someone in no-gi, if they're playing guard like this, I'll try to hit them with this pretty much right away and kind of gauge what I'm dealing with. If I end up in this position, I know that I'm dealing with someone that's about to get smashed. And if I see a couple of reactions, then I know that I have a little bit of a formidable guard to work against, and then you can work other ways to get in nice and close. So once again, when someone is seated up, I'm going to push on the head, smash the knees in, and then my body here is doing most of the work. Most of my weight in this moment is not on the ground. I have a little bit on the ground in my foot, and I have a little bit on the ground with my knee here, but all of my other weight is on top of his lower body, all right? If he's on his back fully, like this just makes it even easier. I'll cut to the side, cut across, and get nice and low. I recommend that you guys ask your partner to try both positions. One seated up with a proper post, and one lying on the back, just so that you find this. It's kind of like a headquarters position for smash passing. I don't really have a good name for it at the moment. All right? Any questions on this one? Yes? Absolutely. So, it's like so. What I try to do with this first one is I try to collapse his arm a little bit. I don't want his arm to be too straight. So if he posts up again, you can see he's got a kind of a straight arm. By moving it here, he actually has to move it. And then I can smash him down like so. Roger, did you have a question as well?
I just want to see if I can see the second variation.
Second variation again, for sure. So he's on his back, right? I don't have to deal with the post. I just have to cut out a little bit more to the side and then block and pinch him down like so. All right, let's go. 1, 2, 3. All right, guys. Nice work so far. As I said, this is just kind of half the move. So one thing before we get into it, I wanna just make this clear. If we can just like rotate around. Sure. So when I get down to the ground here, I don't actually want to be like this because there's so much space and I'm kind of high up. Yeah, so he's going to be moving this knee up towards his chest and turning it across. And now I'm dealing with knee shield half guard, which is terrible. Like, it's a pretty good guard, you know, and the knee shield half guard in no-gi is something that's kind of hard to deal with. So I want to be here. So notice I actually have my knee here behind his knees like so. And now the next step normally here will be, if he has a frame here like he did before, I'll try to get an underhook and just stay low and kind of fight against this frame without it being in the worst part of my neck. So I kind of want to find a good head position here. My opening move from here will normally be to circle this foot to the inside, slide it up, and I'll get my shin onto his knee. So let's rotate a little bit. So I go from here, being nice and tight, controlling his legs, moving this in, and getting my shin on his knees. Now I could even have less control up here, he's still not going to go anywhere. Plus this kind of hurts. It's kind of like a weird trigger point thing. So when this starts happening, people normally have one reaction, which is to start framing up on this elbow, which is exactly what I'm waiting for, right? So what I'm going to do, this hand that's been idle now is going to go through like so. And I try to grab the forearm, and I also like to help myself with this other hand if it's available here. The next thing that I'll do from here is I'll hold this, pull it towards me, and drive forward at the same time. And also climb this up a little bit. Now from here, he's in a pretty helpless position. If we're talking MMA, this is amazing. Obviously, Khabib Nurmagomedov did stuff like this all the time. And now this frame, I can start helping myself with my arm to get it to this side, or I can kind of use my head to pin him back down. I prefer to use my hand to get this out of the way. And now I'll be sliding this one to his strap, getting closer and closer. So I'm basically the most sadistic backpack that you've ever seen in the world. And now from here, I'm going to be going forward, getting this foot on the ground, and using this here to pull him back, and I'll sit back. I will not be letting go of this until I attempt to get my heel behind so I can take the back and have the arm trapped. From there on, we're talking finishing the back choke, the rear naked choke, and that's a different lesson. All right, so let's look at this again. I smashed him down. If he goes right away, I'm not going to bother with this whole thing with the legs here. I'm just going to grab, smash, and now get my legs back here. This one goes in. I make sure that I'm nice and high up before stepping this down. And now when I'm sitting back, I actually make sure to pull him up quite a lot. A normal chair sit would be to just go back like this, but in this specific situation, I have the grips, I have the strength to pull him up like so and go back here. And like I said, I will not be using this. I'll try to trap it first. Much better position. One more time from start to finish. So yeah, I'll do the entry as well. Yeah. So okay, from here, I go in, starts framing. Just like so. One thing to know as well is, even if he doesn't, if some of the variables change here and he does something different, there's not too much that he can do. He can just kind of like try to spaz out a little bit more, try to get up to the ground. We're in a position where we have such an advantage that we should still be able to capitalize and get a super dominant position off of this, even if it's not the back with an arm trapped. All right, let's go. 1, 2, 3. All right, guys, we're going to keep working on this for a few more minutes because this is like one of the most versatile things you can add to your passing. I just want to give you a tip here that's going to help you get in a better position when we're taking the back. So I get to here. First of all, one thing I want to mention, if you have someone that's very experienced and they know what they're doing, they'll be using this frame a lot, right? So what I'll have to do to kind of get past it is I'll have to break through it by leaning forward and then kind of going low, making sure to counter this arm here, conquer this arm here. Might be easier said than done sometimes if someone's really strong, but the way we are on his body here, I can use my entire body to drive forward and smash that frame away. Now from here, as I'm progressing up, I want to make sure that before I go back, I'm going to step this one over, but even more importantly perhaps, I have to get this one a little bit higher up as well. So now when I get this foot on the ground, with this control here being so attached to him, I'm going to mainly use the power of my leg to lift him up like so. And then when I sit back, notice how I have a perfect body triangle right away. I'm not like super far away. And then because I can get this, it means I can also get over the arm. And I'll start attacking from here, being nice and tight. I don't want to be in a position where I almost have everything down. I did the whole thing right, but then I have too much space here, and he's just gonna kind of spaz out and slink out to the side here and get away from me. I wanna make sure that this whole process of passing like this can take 2 minutes, sometimes 3 minutes. I'm never gonna be rushing it too much because I have such a huge advantage. So I don't wanna do all that work to let the person escape. Because if they escape after that, they're gonna be pissed. You were just smashing the living shit out of them for 3 minutes. They're gonna be angry, right? So you gotta make sure that we finish them by having proper positioning. So let's practice this a little bit more. 1, 2, 3. I wanna show you guys one more option that I don't think Sloan or Mike have covered too much. I may be mistaken, but one option here is to completely ignore passing the guard and try to go around it, right? Works in the gi too, but it works a lot better in no gi. So for example, I'll try to have Sloan kind of flatten out. I'll be moving my posts, trying to get to the north-south. Does anyone know what an A10 Warthog is? It's this really badass plane. I actually identify as one. It's made to go down towards tanks and then shoot a massive machine gun at them. So this is the same vibes you want to bring to this type of passing. You're moving across, and now from here, I'm going to be basically dive bombing into north-south. It's not quite as easy, but the principle is very accurate. So sometimes instead of going through guard, into the guard, knee slide, back step, all these attacks that I can do, sometimes it's a good idea to kind of run around the person. And sometimes Sloan and I have this kind of exchange a lot where I'll be going to one side and he'll be actually for a solid 30, 40 seconds, a minute following me, right? And then at some point I manage to cut the angle. I can also use my legs here to break some frames out of the way. And then I can dive bomb into the guard as well. We won't go into in depth with this one. I just want you guys to be aware of it, and you guys can look into it a little bit on your own and start playing around with that as well. We'll do 2 specific sparring rounds before we go into the normal rounds. The first one will be from this position right here, like this. I don't have any, yeah, he can have this in front. I don't have the arm yet, right? So from here, because your partner will know to not post here, try to also play just like straight up passing their guard to side control, or going over this way if they don't give you the reaction that we've worked for right now. So we're trying to get familiar with this position. And then the other specific sparring round will be in half guard. He's going to have this underhook here, and I'll have a near side. And we'll start from there. 2 specific sparring rounds, then we'll do normal rounds. And judging by the time, the judo class will start in the meantime, and we'll let them continue over there. All right? Grab your partner. Let's get ready with the first position. Grab your mouth guards, water 2. 1, 2, 3.